Welcome to the C platform demo. We're going to show you how to elicit, validate, and aggregate expert opinion using the platform. To start with some background, a lot of the decisions that we have to make in our sector are taken in conditions of extreme uncertainty. Quite often when building decision models, there's a lack of data or there's no published studies for certain parameters. And in this context, often we rely on subject matter opinion, be that a clinician or public health official. The elicitation processes to derive and understand that opinion are really varied. So on the one hand, sometimes they can be very ad hoc, so just sending a quick email to an expert, trying to get a point estimate, and then including that in a model. To the other extreme, they can be very structured, so potentially multiple rounds of Delphi, but often very expensive and slow to implement, taking months. Ideally, we would run the more developed and structured approach, but this is very time-consuming, and doing it manually involves a lot of administrative tasks. So, be that contacting and emailing experts, designing the survey, setting up a survey template, data storage and handling, statistical analysis, especially if you're doing multiple rounds of a Delphi-style approach, sending data from the experts, aggregating that and sending it to a statistician, getting back multiple rounds potentially of reporting, taking on kind of the leadership and facilitation with the experts through that whole process, and then the project management side of putting everything together. So this is why it can often take a long time and be very kind of time-consuming and stressful for those that are running these types of elicitation processes. So what we try to do is develop a platform that's quick and easy to use, so it feels like a normal online survey platform, but which can generate reliable and reproducible results. We were really keen here that what we wanted to do was ensure that the analysis that's done, the linear pooling or any other statistics that are done on the basis of the survey are reproducible. So you could run the identical survey with experts receiving the exact same information, providing their judgment, and then doing that statistical analysis. You could reproduce that exactly again. So I'm going to hand you over to Lucy, who's going to go through the tool and guide you through the process of creating a survey.
So this is the C platform page. So once you get to this page, once you're logged in, you can click dashboard, and this will bring you to your individual dashboard. So this shows you any surveys that you have in development. So for example, this one is published, and we've got a draft survey here as well. So you can track any surveys you've got, the number of experts and the status of each survey. So to add a new survey, you click the Add Survey button here, and this will bring you to an Add Survey Setup page. So you can type the name of the survey here, so for example, test, and then create. And this will create a blank template for you to create your survey. At the beginning, this will take you to a welcome page, which just explains how to go through the survey for the experts. For example, that they can close it at any time and then come back to it without losing their progress, and a contact in case they need to ask any questions about the platform. So to add a new survey page, click the Add Survey page on the left here, and this will bring you to a list of different question types. So there's templates that have been developed for different survey questions that you might like to add. So firstly, we've got an info page. So this is where you can add either a PDF or a video into the survey that experts will see before they can answer any of the further questions. So for example, you might upload a PDF with the disease area, patient background, anything that you need for the experts to be able to answer the survey. We've also got training videos, particularly on how to answer the chips and bins questions. So that can be uploaded as well, so the experts can see this before they actually have to start the survey. We've then got regular survey questions that you'll find in most normal survey platforms. For example, a free text, multiple choice, or radio Leica, or numbers. So these are just normal survey questions where you can elicit the response from experts. We've then developed some survey questions that are specific to structured expert elicitation. So you've got a chips and bins question. So this allows the experts to elicit their subjective probability distribution between a range of values. And then there's the low, high, and best estimate question. So the experts can enter a range of values they think the outcome will fall within, and then their best estimate between those values. So to add a new question, just click the template that you'd like to use. So for example, I can select chips and bins, and this will take us to the blank template for that question. And if you change your mind, you can go to the right-hand side here and change the template type. So by clicking on this template, it brings you to a free text box where you can add a question title. For example, I can add a question here, which will ask about alive and progression-free at 3 years and explains the patient population and intervention. You can add a further description underneath if you feel that's necessary. So you can then select the settings. So for example, you can choose percentage, probability, utility, costs, or a custom if none of these match your criteria. I'll select probability here because we're looking at the proportion of patients alive and progression-free. So this automatically sets the range as between 0 and 100, although this can be changed if you feel a different range is more appropriate. You can then ask the experts to provide their rationale for why they've chosen these estimates. So selecting here will ask them to provide their rationale, and then you can choose whether this is mandatory. Underneath, you can add PICO information. So this shows as a drop-down box to the experts to keep them on track and focus on exactly what they should be focusing on to answer the survey question. So you've got the population, intervention, comparison, outcome, and time. Once all of the survey questions have been added, you can preview the survey of how this will look to the experts using the preview button at the bottom here. And then once you're happy with it, you can publish. Once you've published, it will look like this. So you can see the page with each of the experts and their status. So to add an expert, you click the Add Expert button here, and this will ask for their name and email address. So for example, I can type my name and my email address. And you can choose whether the experts should receive weekly automated reminders from the platform if they haven't completed the survey. So a maximum of 4 reminders will be sent if this option is chosen once a week until they've completed the survey. Automatically, the survey will select all questions for the experts to answer. However, if you've got experts with expertise in certain areas that are only asked about in part of the survey, you could unselect questions that you don't want them to answer or to see. We'll select all of them for now. You would then click Save, and this will bring the experts' details out here. So you can see name, email address, status, how many questions they've answered, and if they've received any reminders. So to actually contact the experts, you click the 3 dots on the left-hand side, email survey URL. So this creates an email template which can be edited and includes the unique URL for each of the experts. So scrolling down, you can send the survey directly from the platform, so no need to send any emails from your own personal account. So this is what the survey will look like once the experts click on their unique URL link in their inbox. So we've developed an example survey in renal cell cancer as an example of how to use the platform. So experts continue through the survey using the continue button underneath, and they can go to the left-hand side to view all of the questions that they have coming up. So the first question is a chips and bins question, and this is asking for the proportion of patients that will be alive and progression-free at 3 years. It's giving the patient population, intervention, and any more information, for example, no previous treatment. And we've got the PICO information. So this is a drop-down box for the experts. So by clicking that, they can see all of the information that they need to stay on track with exactly how they should answer this question. So for this question, it asks, so please define the range of values you think the outcome will fall within. So the expert can enter the range of values. So for example, they think it will be between 40 and 50, and then confirm. And this will take them to the chips and bins grid. So this is where they can elicit their uncertainty of the range of values between 40 and 50 and how they think the distribution will most likely look. So by hovering over the grid, you can see if you were to place the chips there, how many chips you'd have left and where they would go. And it updates constantly. So for example, I can add a normal distribution that will look something like this. And then I've used all of the chips, and underneath there's a summary. So the experts can check that what they've entered on this grid does match their own understanding. So for example, this says that the probability that the percentage is between 40 and 44 is 55%. And if they think that doesn't actually match their understanding of their uncertainty, they can remove a chip and put it somewhere else, and this will automatically update the summary until they can be sure that the grid that they've provided does match their own expectations. Underneath, the expert is then asked to provide the rationale for why they've added these values. They can then continue through the survey using the continue button or go back if necessary. So again, we've got another question for chips and bins for the proportion of patients that were alive and progression free at 5 years. And again, you can see the PICO information underneath. So the expert can enter, for example, between 30 and 40 and confirm. And again, it takes them to that chips and bins grid. We can quickly go through that. Here I've run out of chips, but I do want it to go all the way to 40. So I can remove one chip and add it to the end here. And then again, check that the summary matches my understanding and provide rationale. Next is a validation question. So this displays the Kaplan-Meier trial data uploaded by the user against the expert's 3-year and 5-year estimate. So here the experts can see if their estimates match their own understanding, but also the trial data provided. So this question asks, does the estimate in the graph above accurately reflect your understanding of the uncertainty? So the expert can either agree and say the estimates they've provided previously are fine and align with their understanding and confirm, or they can look at this graph and think, actually, I don't think I was quite right on one or both of those, and go back and refine their answers. So I'll hit confirm because I'm happy with these for now. The next question is an example of a low, high, and best estimate question. So this is asking for the proportion of patients that will experience an adverse event having received the intervention within the first 6 months of treatment. So the expert is asked to enter the lowest plausible value and highest plausible value. So we'll put between 10 and 20 here and then confirm these answers. So it then asks for the best estimate between 10 and 20. So you can't put 30 because you've already said it will be between 10 and 20. So I can go back and put 15 and then provide my rationale for why I've added these estimates and then continue. So the experts can continue all the way through the survey, can close it at any time, and can go back to any questions by either using the back button or the contents here. So once the experts have confirmed their responses, you'll be able to see their progress here and the status. So once these are all done, you can view the responses in the responses tab here. So this is an example of the chips and bins question we went through previously, so alive and progression free at 3 years. So here I'd like to see the responses of all the experts, so I can select from this drop-down box and select all. So this is everyone that's answered the question. Here you'll see for each of the experts, you've got their distribution, and then the thicker black line is the pooled distribution from all the experts. There's different ways you can visualize this. So you can view it in a histogram format, as the fitted curves, or as both. I'll go back to fitted for now. And then underneath, you can see for each of the experts, the rationale for why they provided these estimates, the best fitting model, and then the parameters used in the model. And you can download this data. So you can download the table as a CSV file. You can download the graph as either a PNG or a CSV file, or you can draw 1,000 or 10,000 responses from this question and put that directly into an economic model. Similar is true for the low, high, and best estimate question. So here you have the graph with each of the experts' responses, so the range of values, and then their best estimate as that point between the values. And then you've got the average across all experts as well. Underneath, you've got each of the experts with the rationale for why they've provided those estimates, and the minimum, maximum, and best estimate provided, as well as the average. And again, these can be downloaded as a table or as a graph in a PNG or CSV file. So we have created an automated results summary, which is automatically anonymized and can be downloaded directly from the survey platform, showing the results of all of the survey questions. So I'll just show you what this looks like. So this can't be edited, so it's a very good resource to use as a technical report for submission to show the HTA agency that you've not done anything to these responses. This is exactly what was provided by the experts. So you've got a contents page which shows the question title for each of the questions. So for the chips and bins question, you've got the question type and title. And then you've got the graph showing for each of the experts their distribution and the pooled as well. Underneath, you've got the rationale provided for each of the experts. And then you've got the quantiles. So each individual expert's quantiles and then the pooled as well. Similarly, for the low, high, and best estimate question, you've got the question type and title, the graph showing each of the experts' responses as well as the average. Underneath, you've got the rationale provided by each of the experts, and then the estimates provided again by each of the experts and the average as well. So this is automatically anonymized. However, if you need to download information about the experts, you can go back to the Data and Reports tab and Expert Information, and this will be downloaded as a CSV file you can add as an appendix to your submission. You can also download all of the data from the survey in one go using the raw data dump, and this will create a CSV file if you need to create further analyses. Going back to the survey dashboard, you can also download a protocol before the survey is distributed. However, this can be downloaded at any time. So by clicking the three dots and export survey agenda, this is a protocol which shows each of the questions with their question type and title, but no responses. So this can be used sort of for a protocol or legal sign-off, anything needed before actually publishing and distributing the survey. The survey can also be duplicated, so you can duplicate the survey within your own account. Or you can export the questions or full survey as a JSON file and then upload that in a different account. So this is really useful in case HTA agencies or external stakeholders need to replicate the results to check the validity. So that's a brief overview of how to use the C platform for structured expert elicitation to reduce the administrative burden and easily manage projects, allowing for less resource intensive, but fully robust and transparent structured expert elicitation.